Okay, I probably look really tired because I am tired. I am. I mean, she was just relentless this morning. And then having somebody else in the house, and I'm staying up a little bit later because I swear to God, I would just, sometimes I think I would lay down on the couch because I was sitting in the chair yesterday. I put on some movie as the wood came, and I had to go outside to do the wood, and it was raining. And there's a bunch of things I want to talk about. So this is really going to be skipping around because now all of a sudden I'm going to flood. Okay, so when I went outside to do the wood, it was raining. And so I had bundled up and I was like, this is so crazy. Because people think, people don't realize we're already living in this dystopia. Like, I have awareness that whatever is coming down on us is poison. And it's so crazy too, because I can relate it back to Vietnam and stuff. And I remember the stuff that was going on, and I remember about Agent Orange. And I mean, my uncle, when he came back from the war, that stuff ate his brain. He started hearing things and all sorts of stuff, and then he ended up killing himself. I'm pretty sure it was right around when I was 16. And but it was like the 15 to 16 kind of area, not 16 to 17. And so he was younger because I had two uncles that went to Vietnam, and the one, he was the youngest of my dad's brothers, and he was always just kind of like, I don't know, he was around us kids a lot. He didn't get married until he got back from there and stuff. So anyways, the whole thing was super sad, but I remember, really having the awareness of the poisons that they were spraying. They didn't give a fuck about our own soldiers, and they sure the fuck didn't give a fuck about the people over in the area. And it was in the movies and stuff even. Like, we knew. I mean, I knew. I was a fucking kid, and I knew. They were showing, that they were spraying these people with poison. And, so that has already been, referenced in my mind. Like, I already have some sort of awareness of that. So that makes you, if you have awareness, that means you pay more attention to it. So, with stuff being sprayed on us, and I'm very aware of how it affects Stella, how it affects me, how it affects the trees, the animals, all that stuff. I have a tickle again. So then when this morning, because now I'm going to be jumping around, because this morning I went and take a shower because she woke me up and she was just relentless. And I was like, fuck, I just want to sleep. And so I get up because she's just laying out here crying. So I get up and I was like, Newcastle After Dark put on a video. I'm so excited because I had been worrying about them because they hadn't put anything on, and they're over by Ohio. So I was like, man, I wonder how the storms are going for them. I hope those guys are okay. And then, or they're by Indiana, I can't remember, but somewhere over there. And so then they posted, and they didn't mention anything. They never say anything about anything. Like, they very much stay on their show thing and tell you about the movie, who's in the movie, and stuff like that. But I was glad to see that they're okay. So when I got up, then I was like, well, watch that movie. Because it went on last night, and I was too tired to watch it. And so when I started it, then it was showing something that was attached to something else that they had already showed me or talked to me. So right away, then it was showing me something that they had already referenced and made clear to me about something. So it was kind of like, oh, so that showed me that. But so in the movie, this artist, which I'm only a little bit in, like 10 or 15 minutes in, but this artist, I think he kidnaps women and then he bronzes them or something. He turns them into statues. Only people don't realize that it's an actual person inside the statue. And so it's about the shadiness of the art stuff, and also this crazy artist person. But so how it encased this body in gold, it keeps showing it, encases this body, and she's shiny, like bronzy, goldy looking kind of thing. And so then I was like, oh, I started to make another cup of tea, and I was like, I should, you know, if I don't take a shower now, then when it hits me, it's very frustrating when I start getting just like the blood, because I can't get ready fast enough. So a lot of times I'll just start getting ready right away in the morning time. I usually never put on a movie. And so it was like right away, well, I should just stop and get ready, because once it hits me, then it's like, it's hard to explain. It's just very frustrating, because you just start getting flooded and you can't, there's no way to get it all out, and it starts feeling really full and loud and stuff. So then when I start having to try and get ready, man, before that is why on some of with my TikToks, you know, earlier on, is then I would start getting ready, and it was just like this constant flood. So I'd go out and keep doing these videos off of the music thing that I put on the TV, and saying the stuff that they were telling me, just so I could get some of it out of my head. They did that to me last night when I went to bed. It was like a fucking absolute flood. And one of the things that was so fucking fascinating, it was like, oh my God, I totally get it now. It's so fucking clear. And then I was like, okay, but I'm going to sleep. And then it was like, nope, and just get louder and louder. So I was like, okay, I'll go fucking do a video. So I got up and did this video, which the video that they had pop up was like, it trips me out sometimes how they put the videos together. It's not me. Some of the stuff is so trippy how they, you know, I'll say a certain word right as a video change. It's weird. And, but I saw them, that's not me. And, so I did that one, and then I went laid back down, and then it was just like, oh my God. It made me start thinking, like, is there some spirit? It reminded me of the birds when I put the bird seed out, and that there'll always be like one fatty or something. There's one that's kind of skinny, but he starts like monitoring the whole top of the thing, like jumping around like he's just guarding the food, like, no, he's getting his fucking food. Like he starts trying to hoard it right away or something. And it's funny to watch. But I started thinking like that about the spirits. I was like, man, is there one in there in my bedroom? He's like jumping around like, get her. Like, and they just sit there, blah, 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 blah. And I'm constantly having to like, okay, I'm going to sleep. Yeah, I can't, you tell me this shit tomorrow. But there's definitely seems to be one that really likes, you know, that kind of has like an area that is, I don't know, just the way I see it, reminds me of those birds and the spirit and them talking and stuff. But so anyways, when I saw the statue thing or whatever, and I'm still watching it. It wasn't like I just saw that and I go, oh, I need to go take a shower. No, it was like something's going in, and it starts being chatter in my head, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go take a shower. So I go in there to take it, and I had forgot last night after I did the wood that kicked my ass, and that was the whole thing. And I'll finish with that too, because it all kind of goes together. And so when I went in to take the shower, and I was sitting there, you know, getting my hair wet, and I was putting that soap bar thing, so you're lathering up your hair. And I was like, man, I feel like I'm a fucking piece of waxed fruit. I'm like, what the fuck? And my skin, my face, my hair, everything feels like a piece of waxed fruit. I was like, this is fucking, what the fuck are they putting in the goddamn faucet water? Like, what the hell? And at the same motherfucking time, they send these goddamn fucking bills. I don't know what the hell is going on with the water thing. It is so fucking corrupt. I swear to God, I feel like it's a bunch of gangsters just sitting down there like, they're going to start going around with the fucking bat coming to our door. Tap, tap, tap. You're going to take your knees out if you don't give us your money. Like, it's motherfucking weird. And so, the water shit is shady as motherfucking shit. And I've said it since I started recording this. But it used to not put a coating on me. And now, and I was really noticing with my hair, and I've been trying all sorts of things, where I kept being like, what is in my hair? It's like some sort of fucking grease or something when I wash it. Like, there should be a few minutes in between when I wash my hair, it shouldn't just be like the oil on my face is just stuck for, you know, no matter what I wash my hair with, it won't come out. Like, I don't know. I think there's something in the fucking water. And so yesterday when I went out and the guy was bringing the wood, then I was kind of like, I had to go out even though it was raining. So I bundled up like totally dystopian style. Like I'm sitting here, I swear to God, it is kind of like, and I've had this flash before with this, I don't know, like Philippine or Vietnamese or something. Like when I was sitting in that circle down and then we were all sitting there like doing this like thing. I don't know. It was very much like it was, we were doing it like together. I mean, I don't know. It was trippy. But so, you know, I know I had guides from or something. And so, or a connection or something, like I'm connecting to another aspect of self, another, you know, so I don't know. That's the thing is, like, there's a lot of stuff, you know, that we just don't fully understand or know yet. And so, while I was out there, sometimes I'd be walking, I'd feel like this, you know, trudging back, and the ground is making noises and stuff, like, that's different, too. And like on my deck especially, I can tell because when I walk on it, and the ramp for Stella, you start sliding. And like, what in the hell? I've never had rain turn into gel and then it won't even go away. It's like this oil slick everywhere, and it is it's on everything, like this oil slick stuff. And so I was walking back there, you know, I was feeling like all bundled up. I don't know, I was just getting these flashes of like these dystopian movies and the people out in Vietnam and spraying and the people running and stuff. I was just getting all these flashes as I'm walking and it's sprinkling on me, and I'm like, oh, I don't want it to get on my hair and all that. But yeah, there became a certain point, because it's a hard work. If you've ever done moving wood and stuff, it's fucking hard work. And so I was out there, I was like sweating. I was like, I'm almost done. I am not taking this. This is like, I feel like you need a hazmat suit to go out there. And it's like, I am not taking off my protection. And I was just sweating balls. So finally I just took off my hat, and I'm like, motherfucker, it's gonna get that shit all over my hair. So I think like whatever. And another thing that's weird with the hair stuff too is that, like I said, it's like guitar strings or something. When I start trying to brush it, it's like making twangs and all that. It's weird. And then it keeps doing these weird tangles where it can be just like a few, and it goes into this weird like tight knot where you have to like cut it to get it. You can't get it out. And then some of them just turns into a whole fucking gang, just like a mass amount of tangles. And I'm like, so it's got to be something with the electricity and the frequency and stuff. And then the gel, and then the reaction or something. You know, I don't know for sure it's a gel, but it's some kind of consistency. And I've seen some weird shit with people melting the snow. One guy, I think he caught rainwater. I'm pretty sure it could have been the snow that he melted, but whatever it was, then used a magnet on it. And yeah, there's a whole fucking bunch of shit in it, and you pull it around with a fucking magnet. And so then, you know, all of this stuff is, I think people just got to realize, you know, it's artificial, and it's a vehicle. It's what they're using as a transport vehicle for viruses, parasites, whatever they're moving into us. And the crazy thing about it is, like, you know, I was thinking, like, when I was taking the shower and stuff, I was thinking, man, even when I talk about this, like, other people will be able, that doesn't happen in my house. That's not, I don't have anything like that. My water doesn't do that. She's probably just crazy. And then, I was like, oh, that's why they do it in all different places in different ways. And that's how social media, that was like the dark side of social media, because we didn't get in these attachments so much with neighbors, we get attachments with people all over the place. And so they do the different experiments all over the place. So then when we're talking to people, we're not all having the same experience. And one of the ones, it's also the 15-minute city beta thing that they've already started. Because France, they're on a limited time thing, you know, where the, as of blah, 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 you no longer can have this, that, and the other thing. And it's the same thing. I think it's Edinburgh. I thought Edinburgh was Scotland. So maybe, because it's in England, I'm positive this other, but there could be several. But I've seen a lot about this one in England that is going to be, could be Oxford. I can't remember where it was, but it is as of the beginning of 2024. So they're in their last year if things were going to continue. But as of 2024, then they are already taking their area and dividing it into districts. You're not allowed to leave your 15-minute area. And if you do, like say you live over here in this district, because they're doing, you know, like how they already have the districts divided up. FEMA already did that. But then, so in the city as the beta, so they're dividing it up into, so it's the same thing, only on a smaller scale. So they can see, like, where's the problems before we go mainstream. We got to see, like, how's this work? How's that work? Because they'll start charging. But because as it is, you have to leave your district. You have to go all the way around, come in like you're going into another fucking country. See, this is the motherfucking shit I've been talking about, how they control our movement. People don't realize that all this shit, controlling us, being able to go to other countries, other cities, other states. Now they're even going to go smaller, because before it was they controlled us going to other countries, and they control going to, you know, we get smaller and smaller and smaller to pretty soon they're going to control if you can go to the motherfucking bathroom or not. It's going to be like, nope, you cannot get up from your couch. You're on the Meta. Stay there until you finish what you're doing, you know. And it is going to turn into, there's going to be no jobs. You know, everywhere you have 15 minutes. But they don't want you to waste time. And everything is right there. So, like, they just want to make your life smaller and smaller and smaller. Then, after they get control, then you need a passport to go see your sister who lives a couple blocks away, that you have to go out around the whole goddamn city to come in the guided, herded area. So about that control. And I don't even know how all the stuff that they're doing in France. I saw something about all the bike lanes they added now. Like, there's going to be a whole thing where people, how they have to move, but it's the same thing. You can't go beyond your 15 minutes. And I don't know how they're dividing up, and it could be they're trying a different kind of way there. But, you know, pretty soon it'd be like, you can't leave your motherfucking block. You can't leave your motherfucking house. I mean, they just, how much they want to control. But as far as they see it, is we're their surplus, we're their slaves, you know, and we, you know, make it smaller and smaller and more toxic of a world. And, you know, just being out there and then having that coded. And then, so when I got up, while I was making that cup of tea, and I went in there, I was like, oh, my hair, I forgot I didn't even wash it. No wonder it looks like it's got so much this jelly crap on it. And so I took a shower, but then I felt all waxy, and it was right after I saw that girl who was totally coated, and I was like, oh my God, they're fucking coating us like goddamn wax fruit. And I was thinking that is, you know, it has something. It isn't by accident. Like, it is going to be a catalyst for something else, depending on if you have that in you, you know. And who knows what it is we're absorbing, or is it holding it, the stuff in us with this coating on top of us? Like, I don't know, but I can even tell on my dishes. Like, it feels weird and stuff. I know I'm not imagining this, you know, even... But I know, like, I could say something to my neighbor and it would be so outside of their thing. It would just sound like, wah, 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 wah. crazy's talking again. She's over there talking about water and gel and there's something coming out of the rain and all that, you know. It's like they don't think of it because a crazy person just said it. And so they were real good, you know, of doing that to people, getting people to, you know, anybody who says anything outside of the acceptable range, they're crazy, don't listen to them. And so anyways, but the one thing, so when I went and laid back down, it just started fucking flooding me. It is some spirit who waits for me in there, like, till I go to bed and relax. And then they're like, hey, guess what? Because I get a lot of stuff when I go in there and lay down. And I don't know, now with the energy being different and stuff without that toxic bed in there. So, I don't know. But, you know, my perception and stuff on life is way, way outside the box. Like, where I'm at is, like, goes so beyond. Like, I don't even know how to explain some of this stuff. But it's so crazy is, you know, I continually hear people saying stuff that I have said. So, you know, I just know that even if I am completely just tuned in to this other side and living my life as they are telling me stuff and I'm saying it, you know, and being thought as crazy and stuff like that, they're constantly showing me, that what they're showing me is right. How I'm seeing it is right. They're always giving me confirmation. So I don't know. I mean, to me, it's kind of trippy. It's like beyond. Like, I didn't know, like, I was gonna start. I don't know, because I didn't know I was different, like, before. Because it's not really I'm doing anything different. The thing that's different is I'm more acknowledging, more going into it rather than distracting myself, you know, like, oh, what did so-and-so say last night? Oh, what's going on over there? You know what I mean? Instead, my life is that communication and not sitting there thinking, well, I must be crazy. Well, I must be crazy. No, knowing 100% I'm not crazy, knowing 100% that world is more real than this world. And this world is the distraction. The other world is the real world. And the whole thing, you know, of this connection with your higher self, and the whole thing with, you know, stop trying to control your life and allow your life to play out. You know, there's so many things where, especially on some of the things going on in my life, you know, and there will be this like voice of, well, maybe if you do this, well, maybe if you do that, well, try this, try that, say this, say that, do this, do that. And then it's like, no, because it is, I just know it's going to, you can't rush something. It already has its set time. So I don't have to try this and try that and do this and do that, because it has a set time. It's naturally going to happen. It's always going to happen at the time it happens. I can sit here for all the time before that, driving myself crazy. Well, if I try this, well, maybe if I do that. Oh, if I do this. But that is the part where you feel like you can control something. That's where you're going to start feeling completely out of control. And it can start making you feel panicky. Start making you feel like, I just saw this footage of this car where this big tornado thing came all of a sudden. And the person videotaping was saying there was no alarms, nothing. It was just all of a sudden there. And it was fucking huge. She was showing it going up. It was, I don't think it was like a regular tornado. It might have been called something other kind of thing, because it was really, really long, and it was in a field, like in the farm field or something. And it was going, and they were stopped, you know, filming it, but there were still cars going by. Oh my God. The cars look so tiny. Driving past it, I was like, I don't think I could do it. I've turned around and gone the other way. I don't think I could drive past it. I would think it was just going to bounce over and grab me. To me, seeing it, it just was an overwhelming, like dark water, like empty water, like this vastness, like the great unknown, the great abyss or something. And as a soul, that overwhelms the fuck out of me. there is an anchoring to reality when you have the viewfinder on, looking at who and what you are. You know, when you go out into the vast emptiness, that is like, I don't know, it freaks me out. Like, but that's what, you know, to me, that just that gave me that same kind of feeling when I looked at that. It's just this emptiness and this, like, I don't know how to explain it, but it freaks me out. And then when I had seen Matthias DeStefano talking about that, that is actually like at the top of where the soul goes or comes from, is the place, that space of of nothingness, just empty nothingness, where there's no judgment, there's no nothing, just like the black hole, the vastness of nothing. And that is where the energy finds itself and questions itself into who and what am I and what am I doing here. And that is when you put on the viewfinder to figure out who and what you are. And that is the grounding for the soul into understanding itself. And so how they were showing me last night, this was so fucking cool, because and I know I can't explain it, and I know I've said some of this before, and I know it's going to sound like I'm saying the same thing, but it's so much more deeper and so much more, like, it was like, to me, it is like I have a movie theater inside my head, and depending on who's showing me what, and sometimes, like, there's a fucking an inner, you know, like too much coming at once. Because if people could understand, like, there's a whole fucking universe of consciousness, of all conscious beings, all playing different roles, doing different things, looking through different viewfinders, watching others, observing. Like, there's so much going on, and the ones that are observing and connected to you are talking to you, giving you guidance to help you find your way. And so, you know, there's so much that if people could understand and stuff about certain things. But when they were when it was being their a group of beings, or however whoever was showing me, it was they were showing me how the earth is like a lens. It's like, you know, how before I was seeing like a multiplex theater. So it's got all these different experiences and realities happening, which that just goes and goes and goes to. Like, because that is like all these different experiences when you really start understanding, like, you know, the Persians, the Africans, the middle, or the Latin, I would say like Aztec, or, you know, certain different tribes, certain different groups, the Mongolians, like these certain groups were, you know, had their own space, like their own kind of planet. And it is like this beings came in and kind of like grouped them together and started controlling them and started trying to take them over. And I saw this one guy, he was talking about there is no black or white people. Every single person, he showed the whole color range of every shade of brown, and every single person is in the color scheme of brown. And so he's like, every single person is brown. Well, I know, you know, a lot of the brownness is taken out with their DNA control and manipulation, and I know the things they're trying to remove is something about spiritual connection and stuff. And it probably goes back all the way back to Egypt and stuff. I don't know. I can't put all the different things together, because we as the beings go through the resets, and they don't go through it like us. And then they have all the manipulation. So the species can go, but you don't have the same linear thing for the species, you know, so they can do some manipulation and a reset and then come back again with Cabbage Patch Babies. So whatever, there's whatever, all their stuff going. And the whole thing is they're trying to create this whole slave place. Like, they just, it's so manipulative and so, it's just so dark and dirty here. But so how they were showing me was like, the earth, because it was like this visual thing. So it was like the earth, but the earth was just a lens. And it is, so the soul can look through the lens and get the reflection back to self. And one thing too is they kept having on my mind too about this portals. And then about the mirrors, and then they were showing me about water. And then I was like, oh, that's why the ship's going in and out of water, because it is a portal, something with the reflection. And so how they were showing me, like how I was picking it up. So I was like, okay, so something with the reflection, then that is how you move. And so then when they were showing me last night with the earth, it was like our reflection. And so then because then I put on some, it said Mothman. It's all in the little bio, or the little tagline thing or whatever, because it was on YouTube. The title said something like creature something, and it was like from the 80s or whatever, but it was when the movie came on, it said Mothman. And so it was Mothman, but it wasn't Mothman Prophecies. It was a different one. And it was interesting, because there's a lot of stuff about the Mothman. And the Mothman is fucking real. But and I don't know. In this one, it was about the Mothman was getting even with people who committed crimes or something. And that might be in the whole Mothman Prophecies. I don't know. I know it's something about he comes when he comes, bad things happen or something. But anyways, when I put on that movie, what was that? There was something I was going to say about that was in that movie. Dang it. I'm getting totally lost on what I was talking about. What was it? Okay, well, anyways, with the reflection. Oh yeah, because in the Mothman prophecies, goddamn. This Mothman guy is chasing after these people, because there's this whole moral thing that goes on. All these teenagers out fucking around, and then one of them drowns, and then they all feel responsible because they're playing some game, I think pulling each other under or something like that, and one of them drowns. So then they decide to cover it up and hit him in the head with a rock, but they all had to do it together and say that he fell in and drowned. And so they lied about the death to cover up for themselves. So you cannot get away with anything. It's impossible. People just don't realize that's the shit that will haunt you forever, to the point where that person will haunt you, because it's you, your own soul, your own self is showing you, like trying to lead you on the right path. And so the Mothman creature thing uses reflection to move, to go through these portals to come into a room. So he'll go through the mirror, or he'll go through go through a window, anything that has a reflection. And this one guy, he's living in one of those airway campers, the big silver bullet camper things. And so when he runs out, the thing can go through, because that shiny reflection. So they were showing me how that could go through that reflection. So it's something about reflection, surface, that are portals. So, but there's something about us being able to use it, because then how they were showing me was our souls, our consciousness, how we use this experience, this lens, in order to see ourselves. They were showing me on such a different kind of level of and with the earth, and the relationship between the souls, and how it's just way different than how people think here. People just think so much about this 3D. Well, it's kind of like where you've seen it in movies or whatever, where like those guys will set up that whole giant train village. My uncle had one. He had one of those really old trains, and he did a huge train set up, and like the village and stuff. I didn't ever get to see it. I mean, I might saw it when I was really small, but I had always heard, it got really, really cool and fancy. I don't know how long he did it or whatever, but you see him all the time in movies where people make those really cool things. But to me, it's kind of like say my uncle doing his, like he would be the higher self setting up the situation. Like the people on the board have no control over the environment. The being that's creating it is setting it up, and then putting the little people around or whatever. But what's trippy is the people that are in it, they think that's all there is just this, which really it is, as long as you think that's all there is. When you start opening your mind and looking, like, oh, there's a sky. What's beyond the sky? What's beyond that street over there? What's beyond, it is an opening for your mind, and, that can go anywhere. But it's trippy because literally it's like being around all these people who are on the train board thing, going around just, oh, I'm going to get to this store. Oh, I'm going to take the train. Oh, I'm going to go do, just going around like that's all there is. And then there's those of us who are like talking to the guy who's moving the stuff around. He's like, okay, well, I'm going to move that over there. Oh, okay. Well, then, you're more ready for what's coming. So it's so different of a way of living. And you can't get people to understand, because they're so caught up in the game that's right in front of them that they don't know. And when you start talking about, like, you're talking to the one upstairs, the one who's, controlling the board, then like people don't even get it. Like, they go into like the whole thing about God and being the victim to their own creator. Like, that guy doesn't even like me. Who likes me? Nobody likes me. God doesn't even like me. You know what I mean? It's real easy when it's not easy. I mean, it's easy to slip into it, but it's not an easy life to feel like you're the victim to God. God hates you. But when you start really realizing, like, oh, so I am using this lens in order to see myself. But see, as you grow, your lenses are always changing. And so you use this lens to go into this experience so you can see yourself. Everything is about seeing yourself. Because even in your after death review thing, your death review, when you go into that, you don't sit there and look at like what Joe Blow should have done. No, you're going to look at yourself. You're going to look at yourself. And depending on how well you did in the game, is going to affect you in different ways. Like, are you going to, for the first time, see how you affected others? Or are you going to be proud of what you did in the game? I'm what was it too yesterday, something that I had seen in it was just like the people, well, if nobody's watching, it's like there's always motherfucking you watching yourself. Like, how are you so disconnected? Well, if no one's watching, it's like, this place freaks me out. Like, this place freaks me the fuck out. Like, I don't understand how, I don't even understand myself. How did I not really understand the people were living so much different than me. Like, oh man, it's weird. I really don't understand how people perceive. There's one, I just saw this video because when I was sitting there thinking, well, I better go on and just see if anything's going on TikTok. And, you know, 'cause then if I go on there after and then I see something, I'll be like, damn it. And I got to try and remember for tomorrow because I won't go on and just do one for 1 minute. And sometimes when I do one, even though it's more of a response to this, it's like more tracking myself. And I'll do a quick one on TikTok. Like yesterday was something I did an update on that I talked about on here, but then I did an update on TikTok. And so sometimes I do that if it's just like a quick thing because I can't, I mean, I gotta sometimes say some of the stuff. It'll just drive me crazy. It'll just go like, they'll keep saying it, saying it, saying it, saying it. So you're just like, okay. And then especially when they point things out to me and show me things like that they've been talking about. Because not everything is just like a quick, sometimes their point can take weeks. It can take months. Like you know, it's like a layering thing. Like they get you to understand this part, then you can understand the next part. So it's just constant, you know, deciphering a language. And, you know, and I don't know. I mean, there's a whole thing about whatever with the clairs, you know, do you hear it? Do you know it? Do you see it? Like all these different ways. But I have all of those things like that. I get all of those different ways of communication. But you still, you know, you have to try and translate what it is they're saying in pictures and all of the stuff. And that's why, you know, to me, they'll use movies. They'll tell me like all sorts of stuff. And that's why, you know, I know it's because it's part of my mission to come in and do this. So, I mean, that to me has made it clear. But what was I saying a second ago? Because there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's, you know how I said, like, there's all these people who keep, like, battling. Like, I don't know, it's just so weird when you see them. And you only see one person's video, but you see the other person also having their phone, and they're just filming each other back and forth, like who can go viral first and make the other person look like an asshole. And it's just, and to me, some of the arguments that I hear these people doing is like, why wouldn't you just pull out of that? You know, you sound like an asshole too. You're trying to show this person is an asshole, but you can turn around and walk away. You don't stand there. Like if somebody starts losing their mind and yelling at you, why would you stand there and start yelling back and telling, like, I don't know, it's weird. But this one, and at first when I saw it, I was like, you know, I almost even liked it. But then all of a sudden when they showed me, it just kind of turned my stomach. I was like, oh, this really is really gross energy. God, it's sick. So this was a hotel, and it was I guess it was a black girl. It was a security guard, and a black, or maybe she was Hispanic or something, a darker person too, was the desk clerk. And then this guy comes in. He looks like fucking frat boy, just obnoxious. He looks like he probably plays football for college or something. And he comes in and says he has a room. He has to get him to let him into the place too, because it was already locked. And he says he has a room, a reservation. They look it up. Doesn't have one. And he starts becoming belligerent. And then he starts, saying racially rude shit, you know, like saying, oh, now I'm in your hood and stuff like that to the security guard. And being very derogatory, where you could tell you're racist, you know, you're saying rude shit to somebody based on their race. Like that's dude. And then he goes up, like he starts, I don't know, he goes in through the thing and goes into like the back where the girl is working and goes up and shoves her. And then the security girl jumps up and runs over, and it is filming the whole thing. And she says something. They've got his face like over and over. And you can tell the guy is drunk. the way he's talking. He's you know, I don't know. I can recognize a drunk, that's for sure. And so he, you know, seems like he's drunk out on a Saturday night. He could have even gone to the wrong hotel, but whatever. He was belligerent. He didn't want these dark girls to be telling him anything. Like, fuck that. And so he, anyways, I didn't get to see the whole video because the guy said I can't show the whole thing because TikTok will take it down. But the girl, the security guard, kicks his ass. So the security guard kicks the guy's ass. He runs before the cops get there and takes off running. And so then they go up showing his face up close. So anybody in San Diego who knows this guy, I was like, yeah, well, that guy's now, you know, he's going to get his. I mean, I guess shouldn't go around being a dick. But then all of a sudden they just showed me like, fuck, man, what they showed me. I was like, man, there's some people who are doing some of this stuff. These getting caught on videos and stuff, like, man, it was going to be very devastating for some of these people. Like, I had heard before of some, you know, having to, I've heard of people having to move and go into hiding and stuff from these, getting thrown into the pack of wolves online. Like, people get crazy about this shit. They'll show up at people's houses. Like, it's mental. And so, I don't know. Like, this guy, yeah, he's going to have some fucking, who knows what all on him. And, I mean, he put it all out there. So it will be, you know, you're going to get some backlash. And he's not going to really understand, like, this is the darkness in you being purged out. You have to see. Like, this is, you get to see how it affects others. And you're going to get a big old, you know, an onslaught of hate that is going to come at that guy. And it's going to be overwhelming. And then that hate, does that lead to something positive or something negative? You know, does he end up killing himself? You know, and see how energy works, and see how, like, if you jump onto a mob and then mob out on somebody, then you're a part of that energy. You're associated with that energy. Wherever that energy goes at that point, you're attached to it. You helped formulate it. You helped create it. So you are participating in it. So, like, that energy can be created. Like, I can have awareness of it and it's being created by another group, but I'm not participating in it. I'm not feeding it. So I'm not associated. I won't have any association with whatever goes down, how that energy, where it goes. And, you know, people have got to start seeing and understanding how the energy is created and what you do with it. And, you know, another thing too, after I had said, you know, people have to really start understanding on this spiritual level about life, you know, just like what I was saying about destiny, and you can't change the time. You were always going to do the thing at that time. What was always going to happen at that time. You can't rush something. You can't make something happen because you want it to happen. It always is going to happen the way it's going to happen, when it's going to happen. And you can spend your time driving yourself crazy trying to force stuff to happen, or you can relax and enjoy the ride. And so, you know, it makes a difference on how you live your life. But then on top of that, if people could understand, you know, that this is so you can get a clear look at yourself. Like, this weirdness of people, like, you know, nobody's looking. It's like, how do you not feel somebody's looking? Like, to me, that is something I've, and maybe it's because they were telling me ever since I was small. But to me, I mean, they were always talking to me. So I always had awareness that there was people around. There's always someone watching. Jesus Christ, I was in the fucking bathroom, 3 years old, making a little cup of soapy water to give my brother. And they're fucking watching. Like, I don't know where people come up with this shit. Like, nobody's watching. Like, how cut off are you? Because they're fucking watching. You're fucking watching. And you are going to have to face yourself. You are here to see yourself. And it is like a viewfinder, you know, like back in the day when we had those when I was a kid, and you could look through them, and I had one, I loved them. You'd do the little click thing, and then we go to the next picture, and it would, them were cool pictures, like 3-dimensional looking pictures and stuff. It was just the coolest thing. I love those viewfinders, but that is also what life and different lives and looking and realities is. It's just that clicking of, that's the whole reality. And then, so you click, and then you have that picture, then your consciousness could go into that picture, create a whole reality, a whole story. That's a reality. That's a creation right there. That exists at that point. And that's the same thing that we are. It's like we are a thought, a creation. We are thinking ourselves into existence so that we can reflect back to ourselves who and what we are, so we can see ourselves. So that when we do have things, because this is about healing and growing your soul, not, just the little avatar that's, gets on the train to drive around the circle, and people get real caught up in the avatar, and they're so disconnected from the being who's moving the things around, and the little avatar gets all caught up and like, oh, well, I gotta wear this, so they'll like me, I gotta do this, or I better get that job, I better hang out with that person. Like, they start getting all caught up in that, which disconnects them from who's talking to them, who's directing them, to the point where you don't even think anybody's watching. And I've seen that, in movies. To me, that is fucking programming. I see so much with the programming, and then the effects of it, and how it is so distracting to people. This world is like based almost on distraction. How much can we distract you so that you don't have your reflection? Because your reflection is your portal to the truth. Your reflection is the portal to self, is the portal to all expansion, is the reflection. And that is why there is like how there is even this, how it even looks like an eyeball lens. How even, because this was trippy, even when they told me, get up and go say this. And I knew I was going over and over it. Like, this wasn't quick. I was like laying there like, at first when they were showing me and telling me, I was just like, oh my God, that is so fucking cool. And so I'm having this whole conversation, and they're showing me some other things. And I was like, man, that is fucking cool. And they're like, yeah, you go tell. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do it tomorrow. I don't want to do it today. And then they just start putting pressure on me. And then, but there always is that hard part of being able to go, and then be able to just like leave you in a trance, like I said. And so even if like in the thing, the stuff that they're saying, how to explain it, it's like seems so streamlined, but then when you go into the other realm, the other space to try and talk about it, then it's like the words and stuff, all of a sudden, I don't know, it loses something. That's all I know, it loses something. And so when I got up to go and do it, and the screen was just on dark, like some kind of delta tones or something. And so, or theta and delta, I think, are the ones you want for sleeping. So it was on one of those kinds of things. And so it was just a dark screen. So I went back, and there was one that was right there. So I went on it, and then I started recording, and it was so fucking cool, because right when I started talking about the earth being a lens, the first image this thing did was like this eyeball lens, and then all of a sudden it turned into like fire, kind of. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like, oh my God, how do they do this? Like, how I'm talking about something, and then they get this imagery that just, I don't know. It was cool as shit, though. That was a video where I was like, damn. I have a lot of videos like that. Like, people don't even know. They can look at it and think like, oh, just like everybody else, I'm sitting here like, oh, I'm going to put that there and doing all this kind of editing or something. And it's not like that at all. I just go in and say the things they say, put on something, and then just the the stuff, like how it will go together. It'll just trip me out. I was like, oh my God, you guys make me look like I'm so fucking, like I'm good at this. Oh my God, it's so crazy. Because, no, that's not me at all. But anyways, so I cannot remember the other stuff they were telling me after that. There was a bunch of stuff. And it was like one cool thing after another too. I was like, oh yeah, that's super cool. But I really don't want to get up right now and talk about this. And then I think there was 3 things. And I was like, okay, it's all super cool, but I really have got to go to sleep. My eyes hurt. I got to go to sleep. And so I'm just like, tell me tomorrow. But then, I don't know. I think that there's something, like I probably, if I got more like in this better kind of routine, maybe I will do this like at some point. I don't know. Like go in and lay on my bed and go into the communication. I mean, I see people do that. They even like cover their eyes and do a whole thing of saying it. But maybe if I go in and listen right then, maybe I just need to go in and, because sometimes I'll lay on the couch and then I'll listen, but I swear there's something in the bedroom. There's somebody who, and I think it's because of when you go into that relaxed kind of state in your mind, it quiets your mind. So then, they start, because I swear to God, it's so often where they start telling me things, but it's in that, like, where you're already relaxed, like, oh my God, no, I don't want to get up. But they start telling me things, but it's like, oh, now I got to remember it once all the noise comes back on. And then I know I need to start keeping like some sort of thing and write some of the stuff down, because some of the stuff is so cool and I want to tell it and I want to explain it the best I can. But, I don't even know, like, to me, it is like you have all different beings showing you things. Like, it could be anything. Like, I swear to God, I could start dancing and a certain song, like this happened the other day. This song came on and it feels like all of a sudden it's like the person who wrote the song gets inside of me and starts being excited. Like, I don't know how to explain. Some of this stuff is so weird. And I know there's so much stuff that I would say that people would be like, okay, she's mentally ill. She's definitely mentally ill. But that is, that's how they want you to think. I know that this stuff is real. And just like when I was out there doing that building, and I was doing stuff and I didn't know what I was doing, and I would see, like, I kept feeling like I was turning into some sort of Amish farmer or something. Sometimes they would even see my hands and they would look like, I kept feeling like in my soul, like if you think of your soul, like, and being able to change channels, that it is like you change channels and then that being comes through, or that aspect of self comes through to show you and remind you of things, which, man, in that movie the other day when I saw about the Amish, and then I saw another one too, and all these different movies, they always make like the Amish were like these Dutch, very religious, very strong religious. That's why they have to cover their hair and stuff like that. Kind of group, like they didn't want anything to do with Western medicine or any of that stuff, which is all good. And then they saw like the English people, which became Americans, but the like English people, or like city people coming, and they saw them kind of like immoral, chasing something, kind of like what it really is, man. The only problem is with the Amish ones, and they went so far in the one direction. Like, each group was going into the extreme direction. And because in the ones where they were showing, like, if a kid grows up and leaves the family, like, you're out. Like, if you go and leave and you want to go to the city and get a job or something, you're out. you stay as a community, you grow as a community, you worship as a community, you marry in your community, all of that stuff. And anybody who goes outside of it, then they're, banished from the whole group. And I don't know, there was just, like, all of these things, if they could pull into balance, like, there's so many good things about, like, the Amish community and how they go out and work together and build together. And I love how they, horse and buggy, like, I don't know, they've stuck so much more to natural nature ways of life, but they have, like, overly strong on the spiritual side because it's too controlled. Like, there's an aspect to spirit is it's an individual's choice. It's an individual's rights to learn from whatever the experience is. So it's kind of like they are in control of these experiences. But if you really truly trust God and believe God, then you would understand that whatever their experience is their experience. We shouldn't be controlling anybody else's experience. We should accept everyone's, because everyone's experience is valid. If we understand truly about God, there would be none of us that think that we are, the right hand. We'll tell everybody, you live this way, you live this way, you live this way. But so, they take something good, but then it goes dark. And then, we've seen how they turned the shallow, artificial, people chase anything that shines, I swear to God. And they have no respect for life. There's so much that has to change and transition. And there probably will, be a lot of people who can't do it, that aren't here for that. Like, there's more, I don't know. It seems like, I see some spiritual people talking. I saw this one person yesterday or last night or something, and she was like, you know what I don't understand? So even in the spiritual community, you have these two different groups that are so sure that their way is right. You have, like, the group who thinks, like, you have to do all these and all that, that's the 3D group, the super spirits, I think. And then the other one, who I don't remember how she was explaining them, but to me, it is, it's your connection to your own spirit. And so, to me, those certain groups have different lessons to learn. So, they're going to have very distinct lessons, but as a being of light, to me, is you have got to tune into yourself. Like I've said from the beginning, it's like all your instincts are saying, hey, don't, get that shit away from me. I'm like, no way, because there's no way. They would have to hold me down, and they'd have to catch me, and then hold me down. And my instincts from the beginning, there was no question to me. There was no way. I tried to tell other people no. Where I see people, talking about, like, all the pressure that was put on them and stuff like that. Like, I'm glad I wasn't having to work, but I don't give a fuck. I had pressure in my own family, and I was like, fuck no fucking way. I can't believe y'all are. There's no fucking way. And so, the people who didn't, like, I don't know, are you spiritual if you're not listening to your spirit, or is your spirit is about to teach you something else? But there's a lot of people out there who are marketing themselves as, like, I'm not shitting you, like, life coach, spiritual gurus. And they are fucking, to me, but I see, what's happening here is, like, all about the learning in the world reflecting back to you what you need to know about yourself. And to me, it's the same thing. You've got tons and tons of people who call themselves Christian, who I just saw a thing where it said 78% of the men who call themselves Christian look at P-O, every single day. That's an addiction, for one thing. And then that's the dark, shiny object. 78%. So are you really a Christian? I mean, do you not know that that's somebody's daughter? Do you not see like the sick stuff that is like, but your desires override what's right and wrong? That's your lesson to learn, you know. But that is the same thing. So you have all these guys, people who think of themselves as Christians, but they're, you know, doing shady shit as soon as they walk out of the church. It's the same thing with spiritual. Like, you can call yourself anything you want to call yourself, but do you actually walk the walk? Do you do the work? What is it you think a spiritual person is? Like I said, to me, it's a lot of them just seems like it's just, you know, calling yourself spiritual and saying that, you know, you are vegan and you, it's like a whole thing. Like, you wear a certain shirt, you wear crystals, you do ayahuasca. Like, I don't know the parameters on their whole thing. I just know that that's not really, to me, a spiritual path. Spiritual path to enlightenment is about healing. It's about looking at yourself. It's about recognition of self. It's about questioning yourself. It's about understanding yourself. It's about, you know, the comprehension of you as a creator and what you're creating. And, you know, that's just another thing in judgment, you know, where somebody has come here to experience poverty, loss, or whatever, and then people tell them they're doing it wrong. You're just doing it wrong. You should do it different. You got to do it the way I say. You got to manifest. If you do what I say, there's so many people that do that. So many. Just do what I say. Just say what I say. I say this, you say that. And it's like, it's an individual path, and somebody wants to follow along with somebody, like, there's going to be a lot of lessons that are going to come out of all this, like some big lessons for people. And, you know, and people are going to be really hard on themselves. It's not going to be a laughing matter. It's not going to feel funny. It's not going to feel like they're learning. It's going to feel like they're exposed. It's going to feel heavy. It's going to feel dark. It's going to feel embarrassing. It's going to be difficult, but that's the spiritual journey. That's the spiritual, you know, override of self, to, you know, take a hard look at yourself and figure out, like, what makes you you? Why do you do the things you do? And is that really what you want to do? Are you just reacting? And if you're reacting, that's due to pain and trauma that is unresolved. And so, to me, the spiritual path is all about healing. And, you know, but that wasn't in the beginning. To me, for my spiritual path, was just the acknowledgement that life existed after life. It was, to me, everything was about reincarnation and about, to me, I followed the Buddha philosophy more of, you are where you're supposed to be, and your soul has a purpose, but I thought it was just, I don't know, it's just, after 2020, things took a new level to me on all different things that I saw. But really, it was more like 2016 when everything started becoming so much more deeper, and I started seeing things so much more. So your spirituality, you know, is a process, even, you know, just figuring out who and what you are, where did you come from. You know, it freaks me out is how many people think reincarnation sounds like a bunch of hullabaloo. Like, they'll have conversations like how ridiculous it is. And then I've seen conversations where, you know, I think we've probably have lived before. I mean, it's like, dude, you are fucking living several lives right now at the same time you're here. There isn't, like, maybe once, you know, I'm just coming at, like, God, people's idea of life is so different than what it is. It's so different. So, anyways, I've been talking a long time. I don't even know if I finished all the stuff I was saying, or wanting to say. Maybe all that other stuff will come to me. Maybe I will go lay on my bed and see if they tell me it was some really cool stuff. Maybe I will record again. I saw more stuff with the McCarthy thing. I saw this one guy, he kept showing close-ups of the people who were voting. And he was like, oh, you can look at their faces, look at their faces, look at that. And you could tell, like, the people were just like, go up and like walk back, like, oh my God, I'm going to die now. And it's like, oh my God, what is going on? And there was a couple that were about to go, another one besides McCarthy and Getz, who were about to go to blows. Like, there was another brawl about to break out. Like, who knows the tension that's going on there. And in the case that they are up against too, this case has been brought up against Congress and stuff because they only had 10 days to do an investigation after the whole action, and they failed. And then they just said, no, that guy, he won. And then they didn't do what they were supposed to. There's a certain thing. It's their own protocol, and they didn't do it. So they're in court. Like, that's the big case, and they're not, the media is not covering it at all. And so that is going on. So they're all have got that pressure because they're all about to be going down. But then I was like, man, how many of these are, I mean, like, you could make a face like that if you knew, like, you're voting him in, but you know that's his demise. Or it can be like, man, you voting him in and you know you're about to be exposed. Like, there's so many different things that can be going on. What was causing these people to make these, like, they just look like sick. Like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And so, I don't know what, I think there's going to be more to come, and I keep hearing more about this. That was one of the things that the Republican people who had went up to McCarthy in the very beginning and said, these are the things we want. We'll vote you in, but you have to do this, this, and this. And one of the things was this, it used to be that you could be called out by Congress, like you could be voted out. On that thing that I was talking about, and then they wanted it back in. Nancy took it out. Man, these people are so fucking, they all work together like fucking evil. And so they wanted him to put it back in, but so it fucks him putting it back in but it's going to expose stuff. So anything that so if anybody who says that they don't like how he is going, then they can say, we want to do a vote on him, and they can vote him out, just like smack dab right there. So I don't know, but they've made such a thing about that. There's reason it's being made a thing. So probably is how he's going to go. It's going to be just as strange as how he came, but it's going to be to expose more things. And, all that, it's trippy how all these things are like intersecting, like the bank stuff. I can't even tell you how many people now are like going from ATM to ATM to ATM. And I'm kind of nervous because that's what I got to do tomorrow. Now I got to get cash for the wood guy. And I got to get cash for the weed store. And, I don't know if there will be any cash at all, to go and get any, man. But so, all that stuff. So we got the court stuff going against Congress right now, whatever, and Congress doing weird stuff, and then you have the banks not having any money. Like, all this stuff is all going kind of at once. It's trippy because it is like, and I think there's a lot of stuff like, my God, the stuff coming out with the P, the M, the N, let's see, what's the other one? The J and J, like, oh my gosh, all these things just being exposed after exposed. There's another documentary coming out. What is that one? Oh, the one that's coming out on April 3rd, I think. I think it's April 3rd. It's On the Level, I think is what it's called. And it is going to be one about the hidden truth, like about the flat earth, about our hidden history, all truth stuff. So that is going to, and that's the thing, there's no stopping the truth. There's no stopping it anymore. Even where people are like, well, they don't listen, they won't hear, and stuff like that. There's not going to be any getting away from it. There's no way. It's just going to keep going and going and going. But I still say, whatever's going on in that, with all of those people, it's all about to go down. So I think, I don't know. I think a lot of stuff happened last week. So I'm expecting a lot more to happen this week. And there still is this whole thing about the 20th is the date that the corporation ends. But there needs to be no leadership so it can end. It's something about that. Like if there's no prez, then the corporation ends. So whatever they're going to do, I would say they're going to try and make sure. But I did see one thing with McCarthy is being interviewed about these things. And the reporter was just like, she didn't even know what to do. The stuff he was saying. And when she would say something and try and, shift the view of the watcher, he would just sit there and stare at her. He wouldn't even say anything, which was leaving her kind of like, so, whatever he's got to expose, and who knows if part of what he has to expose is to lessen his sentence. Like, there's so much for us to know more about. So there's a lot more to come, but I think it's going to start really popping off. So I don't know. I think this week is going to be significant. I'm just, tomorrow that I can get some cash. And, we'll see. We'll see how this goes, but it definitely seems like, man, if the banks get it through this week without, because what is this? This is going to be the 9th, will be Monday. 20, we'll have 11 days. So 11 days, they'd have to stop the whole banking system, which is already, it's already in the process. This is all show. So stop that. Get rid of the press. Get rid of the spare one. And then, man, I don't know. This is a lot of stuff. A lot of exciting stuff. And at the same time, you have these major storms happening. Like, who the fuck even knows how bad it is in California? They're just getting plummeted one storm after another. I'm like, man, this stuff is crazy. So, stay strong and stuff. And then, I don't know, maybe I will go in and lay and see if they will tell me that stuff. Or maybe I'm, if I need to know it, they'll tell me. Like, they never have any other problem telling me. I don't know. I just felt I was really relating that spirit as that bird guarding the food, because they really wanted to tell me some stuff. And I was really too tired to get up and go and tell their stuff. But they do tell. Like, I'm telling you, connect with your guide, connect with the fucking universe. Like, don't feel embarrassed or weird about it. Like, man, they are interesting, and they tell you and they show you things that are so fucking interesting. And, I know I'm just here to help people learn and go into that part of themselves and to start really becoming a part of the universe, because it changes your whole life. I'm telling you, you stop focusing on the drama and all, man, I don't know. It's such a switch in focus, and it's so dramatic when you do it of how much better you feel. But it's a process, so don't think if you started doing it and you didn't feel better, like, that it's not working for you. It's a process, but it's, I don't know, it's, all I can keep doing is recommending people to do their healing and to focus on themselves and to detach from the programming in this reality, and to go on the journey to self and self-love, because that's where we're headed. And the people who are supposed to will hear me and they will do it. And the people who don't, I don't know. They're going back home, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, I'll talk to you later. Bye.